Welcome back. It's day 42 and I'm Henry. You're watching Henry's Millions. And today we're going to continue our discussion about wisdom. As you might remember from the previous video, the science of wisdom, we went over the highlights or main points of a very important paper written in 2000 by Paul Baltes, who is a very influential developmental psychologist. And the paper summed up everything they knew at the time about wisdom, the science of wisdom. And it's very interesting today. If you search for wisdom on YouTube, like anything else, you'll get a hodgepodge of results, and not necessarily a scientific or rigorous approach, which is why I'm trying to present you with this more scientific knowledge about wisdom. I think it's very important, it's very useful to be shared. So today what we're going to do is we're going to drill down into the most important points so that we can use it to help each other become wiser. I remember the Gladiator movie where he says, where Gladiator said to the Emperor Marcus Aurelius that he's seen much of the world and it's brutal, dark, cruel and dark. Rome is the light. Well, similarly, I've seen much of the YouTube search results. It's brutal, cruel, and dark. Hopefully, this video will be the light. So what does it mean to live wisely? Today we're diving deeper into the science of wisdom, what it is, how it's measured, and how you could cultivate it in your own life. So wisdom is more than just knowledge or intelligence. We've covered that in the previous video. In the psychological research, it's defined as expert knowledge about the fundamental pragmatics of life, meaning how to plan, how to manage, and understand a good life. So it's about seeing the big picture, making sound judgments, and striving for excellence and well-being for yourself and others. It's a long definition, but we're going to break down the components here. You're going to understand it perfectly well. So it's not about just knowing what's right, but knowing how to apply the knowledge for the good of yourself and those around you. So it's a balance of mind and character. And the interesting thing about wisdom is you can easily recognize it when you see it in others. If you remember from the previous video, we identified 5 main criteria that are used to evaluate wisdom. So like when you look at someone, are they wise? There's 5 criteria we use. The first one is rich factual knowledge. I'm going to go over these again. We did it in the last video, but I think it's very useful. Rich factual knowledge. So it's a deep understanding of human nature, development, relationships, and social norms. It's not arbitrary knowledge, right? And then rich procedural knowledge. So knowing effective strategies for giving advice, for conflict resolution, and handling life's challenges. Then there's the lifespan contextualism. Context, lifespan. It's recognizing how life's different areas, work, family, society, interact across time, past, present, future. The fourth one is relativism of values and life priorities. So tolerating and understanding that people and cultures have different values. And the last one is recognition and management of uncertainty. Remember, we talked about uncertainty, very important. Accepting the limits of what we know and dealing with life's unpredictability. So these are the 5 main criteria that are used to evaluate wisdom. And as you remember, in the previous video, we talked about the studies that they conducted with hundreds of participants and these criteria. So let's talk about how wisdom develops. It doesn't just come with age. It's built through learning, practice, and the motivation to strive for excellence. And it requires a blend of personal qualities, life experiences, crucial, and cultural influences. And I want to add that mentorship and the guidance of wise voices. They're essential for developing wisdom. I was reading through the material that having an inner dialogue with yourself, having an inner dialogue with somebody that you identify as being wise, but having it with yourself, right? So you're also playing the other person's part. It's still useful. That was just amazing to learn that. So 3 main conditions support the development of wisdom. We're talking about how wisdom develops. 3 main conditions support it. Number 1, personal characteristics, like your cognitive style. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Creativity and motivation. And then there's life experiences. Makes sense, right? Life experiences. You see people that have gone through so much pain and loss and suffering. Hopefully they're wiser because of it. In many cases they are. So life experiences, facing and learning from life's major challenges. Then the third one is cultural context. So these 3 ways that wisdom develops. Personal characteristics, life experiences, and now cultural context. So the influence of society, of mentors, and the wisdom that's passed down through generations. Super important. Wisdom is passed down through generations in a culture, as you'll see later on, through the use of proverbs, sayings. So these are teachings that are passed verbally. So wisdom isn't just an individual trait, it's a cultural and collective product. So we participate and contribute to the wisdom of the communities we live in. So let's talk about wisdom across the lifespan briefly. So you across an individual's lifespan. So you might think that wisdom automatically increases with age, but the research shows that that's not true. Between ages of 25 and 75, there's no significant increase in wisdom just from getting older. It is almost a horizontal line. Between the ages of 25 and 75, there's no significant increase in wisdom. So people are, they vary higher or lower than the mean, the average, but it doesn't vary much. The most important period for gaining wisdom-related knowledge is between ages 15 and 25. That's where human beings gain most of their wisdom. And it continues to develop with the right experiences and reflection. So wisdom remains stable throughout most of adulthood and doesn't automatically increase with age. So simply living longer is not enough. Achieving higher wisdom depends on a number of factors, including life experiences and supportive context, which is why the highest levels of wisdom are often found in people in their 60s. So let's talk about the role of cognitive styles and social collaboration, okay? Because I want to break down for you how our thinking styles and our interactions with others shapes our wisdom. I think this is very interesting here. So the role of cognitive styles and collaboration. So when we talk about cognitive styles, we're talking about primarily 2 things. So judicial thinking, cognitive style, the way you think, right? Judicial thinking, it means analyzing issues by comparing options, not just seeing things as right or wrong. Okay, so judicial thinking. And there's progressive thinking. It's about being comfortable with ambiguity and adapting beyond rigid rules. So this is when they talk about a cognitive style, there's 2 types of these thinking. And then creativity, very important. Creativity boosts wisdom by helping us manage our emotions and staying open to new ideas and perspectives. In fact, creativity explains about a quarter of the differences in wisdom between people. Amazing. Creativity by itself explains a quarter of the differences in wisdom between people. So we're talking about the role of cognitive styles right now. There's judicial and progressive thinking and creativity. There's also collaboration. There's internal and external collaboration. Let me explain that to you. So internal collaboration, in other words, self-reflection. It's like practices like journaling, like inner dialogue. They help us build a humility and balanced thinking. Also, reflecting in the third person, where you'll say, why might they feel this way, can help us see beyond our own biases. So this self-reflection is very helpful. And you'll see later that it's helpful after we consult with others in increasing our wisdom. Then there's the external collaboration. And this is social interaction. So these are just fancy words, right, for simple things. So self-reflection, social interaction. And that's discussing ideas with others. And it exposes us to different viewpoints. And that increases our understanding and our tolerance. So the biggest wisdom gains come when we reflect on these conversations afterward and integrating what we've learned. This was a big deal in the literature, in the science of wisdom. It's when you interact socially, right? External collaboration, discussing ideas with others, asking for input and advice, giving input and advice. But when you go back and reflect on those conversations, that kind of supercharges the increase in wisdom. I don't want to over dramatize this, but that is an area of when you're talking about how to increase your wisdom, that's a very important area. So then there's the interactive minds approach, okay? So this is the best results come from a cycle. So it's reflect alone on a problem, you discuss it with others, and then you reflect again on what you've learned, okay? So this process can boost, pay attention to this process can boost your wisdom performance by nearly 20% compared to thinking alone. I didn't make this up. This is from the literature. These are researchers and scientists. These are doctors or psychologists, sorry. And this is the results they saw. This process, it's called the interactive minds approach. It's when you reflect alone on a problem, discuss it with others, then reflect again on what you've learned. That can boost wisdom performance by nearly 20%. So I don't think it means that you're going to be 20% wiser if you do this once. That's not what it means. It means that your performance at that specific point in time, maybe dealing with these issues, would be 20% greater than usual, okay? Maybe if you do this over time, over and over again, and you constantly apply these strategies, obviously your wisdom will increase. If you were to get tested, for example, your wisdom would increase. And that's a big part of the reason why I'm sharing this with you today. So the research shows that combining individual thinking time with collaborative discussion can boost wisdom performance by nearly 1 standard deviation. We just covered that. 1 standard deviation is huge, especially when followed by personal reflection, okay? So that's why I'm repeating it for you. So social interaction is important, and private contemplation is important in cultivating wisdom. You want to be wiser. I want to be wiser. I'm wearing a shirt. This is the first video I've ever worn a shirt in. Am I wiser for it? I don't think so, but so wisdom, let's move on. Let's talk about wisdom as a heuristic and meta-heuristic. I don't know if you've heard this word before. It's simple. Heuristics are like mental shortcuts. It's very simple, right? It's a mental shortcut. You can look it up. It's a beautiful word. So wisdom acts as a kind of shortcut for making life's big decisions. It helps us quickly cut through complexity and focus on what truly matters without getting lost in endless information. So wisdom also acts as a meta-heuristic, and it organizes all our knowledge and strategies and guides us toward the best choices for ourselves and others. You'll see later when we talk about Proverbs, these mental shortcuts to help us, think and act without spending tons of time on complex thought and decision making. So wisdom serves as a shortcut for making complex life decisions and as an organizer that integrates different kinds of knowledge and strategies. And without this organizing function, our knowledge about life would be fragmented and less effective for guiding us toward, excellence or well-being. I don't usually like to use these big superlatives, these big words like excellence, but you get the idea. So let's move on now to an interesting part of this discussion, is the power of Proverbs and cultural wisdom. Power of Proverbs and cultural wisdom. You probably know what Proverbs are. They're short, well-known sayings that offer wisdom, advice, or express a truth, right? Based on common sense, okay? So short, well-known sayings that offer wisdom or advice, Proverbs. So here, let's talk about Proverbs for a minute in the context of wisdom. So Proverbs are more than sayings. They're major ways that cultures store and transmit wisdom, helping people activate and interpret wisdom in real life situations. So as we age, our ability to use and understand Proverbs as tools for managing life's challenges tends to grow. And much of a culture's wisdom is captured in these Proverbs. So these sayings, they reflect three strategies for managing life. In the research, they created three useful categories for Proverbs. Now, there's Proverbs that don't fit into these three categories, but the ones that do are the most useful. I'm going to share these three categories with you right now. Super useful categories for Proverbs, okay? So number one, selection. And these are known as three strategies for managing life. It's not necessarily have to do with Proverbs. There's three strategies for managing life, but it's interesting how they took the most useful Proverbs, cultural sayings passed down through generations. The most useful ones tend to fit into these three strategies, and they are selection, optimization, and compensation. I'm gonna explain them to you right now, okay? Selection means choosing what goals to pursue. Like, for example, there's a proverb saying, "A jack of all trades, master of none." You've heard this, right? Jack of all trades, master of none. In different languages, different cultures, they have something very similar about it, right? If you try to do everything, you're not good at anything. So this proverb fits into the selection strategy for managing life. Then the optimization strategy for managing life means that it's finding the best way to reach your goals. So if I were to pick a proverb that fits there in that, it's practice makes perfect. Right? You've heard of this, practice makes perfect. So that's the optimization strategy for managing life. Finally, the compensation part, selection, optimization, compensation. This is, we're picking proverbs that fit neatly into this. Compensation means adapting when things don't go as planned. So there's a proverb in English that says, when there is no wind, grab the oars, right? You're sailing. When there's no wind, grab the oars. So these three strategies help us navigate life's challenges, and they're key ingredients in practical wisdom. So I want to share with you some practical tips for cultivating wisdom in your life, right? So when somebody sees you, they'll say, wow, this is a wise person. It sounds great, right? So first one is practice analyzing complex, ambiguous situations instead of looking for simple answers, okay? Don't look for simple answers. Practice analyzing complex, ambiguous situations. Second, after discussions with groups or with someone else, when you have a social discussion, take time to reflect and even journal your key insights. It's important. I mean, you don't have to go journal it, but just take time to reflect on it, to integrate this additional perspective, viewpoint, knowledge. And the third is use creativity exercises like brainstorming new uses for everyday objects, role play, social conflicts to build flexible thinking. Creativity is very important. So wisdom isn't fixed. It's a dynamic skill you could develop by balancing analysis and adaptability, by cycling between social learning and private reflection, and by using creativity to connect ideas and emotions. So as the saying goes, even a very long journey begins with a simple step. So the journey towards wisdom is ongoing, but every thoughtful step you take moves you in the right direction. So in the future, I will be creating more videos on wisdom. There's a lot of literature, a lot of terrific content, documents, research, articles from the past, from some very intelligent individuals and psychologists. I will be sharing those with you in the future. So what does wisdom mean to you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep learning together. Please like and subscribe. It helps my channel a lot. And if you found this video useful, share it. Thanks. Every time.